Hi guys, and welcome one and all to my 100th video spectacular, such as these things often are. Who knew that I would go from this?
The band has really been making a great name for themselves within the prog metal community, especially over the last few years.
To this fabulous person you see before yourselves. Amazing what 100 videos will do for a man's confidence after all. So, yeah, honestly, I genuinely never thought I'd make it to doing this many videos, like, at all. I figured, like, maybe I'd get to, like, I don't know, 30, get bored, move on with my life, etc, blah, blah, blah. But genuinely, the process I've been through for the past 100 videos has really, like, just been such an eye-opening experience for me that it's been impossible to just not want to keep going with it. It's been such a positive experience for me from, like, the very start of this up until now. I can remember telling myself, like, if I got 30 views on my first video, I'd keep going. And I did get that. So I kept going, you know, and here I am now, you know. Not exactly big leagues, but, you know, I'm getting there, and I'm having a great time doing it. But what I wanted to do for this 100th video is I kind of wanted to put together a bit of a Q&A, you know, get to know me a little bit better, you know, all that sort of thing. I'm not just like some pseudonym that I come up with every video and all that jazz. I have a real name, damn it. But so yeah, I put out some posts on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and just all over the place, you know, seeing what sort of questions people wanted to ask me. And I've narrowed it down to like 10, which I thought were like the most interesting questions and certainly ones that I wanted to answer the most. So, like, I've not got, like, every question that I've been asked here because, quite frankly, that would make this video, like, an hour long, and I don't want to do an hour-long video about myself because I'm just not that much of a narcissist. He lied to himself slightly. So, with that being said, let's get into the bunch of questions that you guys have had for me, and we'll start with number 10. Now, I've got my little notebook here, so you have to excuse me if I keep glancing down to remind myself what the questions were. So, the first question that I've been asked, and I got this one actually quite like 2 or 3 times actually, is what are my interests outside of music? And honestly, I think that's a really good question because, you know, it's really easy when we have like the this whole YouTube personality thing, this whole, you know, parasocial relationship thing that we have with people that we see online. It's very easy to forget that there is actually a real person behind all of this, and you know, this isn't my entire life. I do have other things that I do. And I suppose the most immediate and more, like, fun for me thing that I do outside of music is I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. In fact, I play so much Dungeons & Dragons, I've actually got myself a little group that we record our sessions. You know, we go live, well, not live, but we record these on a Monday night, and we have a little bit of fun with that. You know, we do these little sort of 30-40 minute shows each time, so it's, you know, it's not too long form, but we've done an entire campaign over the course of the last maybe about a year, I think. I'll leave a link to the channel where you can watch me make a complete tit of myself up there. It's called Roll Dice Repeat. It's a great fun little channel. We have a lot of fun playing the game there. So if you've ever wanted to hear me do a comedy London accent whilst caving people's skulls in, there's your opportunity. Yeah, D&D, love it, love it, love it. It's like one of my all-time favourite things to do outside of music. It's just, I used to be like a bit of a cynic towards, you know, I was like, tabletop RPGs aren't really my thing. I felt like it was a bit sort of like, eh. But then I just threw caution into the wind and just tried it. And I got a really, really great group, wonderful people, every single one of them. Still play quite regularly today with some of the same people. So that's really nice that we've had this sort of long-running thing. It's been like since pre-COVID that we've been playing. So I've known these people for a very, very long time and we have a great time together. And it's honestly just brilliant. It's the highlight of my week is when I get to play D&D, and it's so much fun. If you've never tried it, please do. Also, I suppose the other sort of main thing that I'm into, as it were, is I'm a huge Disney nut. Like, I mean, the pins are probably a giveaway. You probably see those in most videos. I mean, the t-shirts that I sometimes wear as well, they're a bit of a giveaway. You know, big Disney, like, animation buff in general, but also the parks as well. I love going to the parks, like Disney World Florida and Paris is the ones I've been to the most. Still haven't done California. It's on the bucket list, as is like Tokyo, Shanghai, Hong Kong, all the usual Asian park stuff. But I love it, honestly. I am like my perfect self when I go to these places. You know, I'm that annoying childless millennial who goes to Disney theme parks and just like takes up all the time away from like the mum with her 5 kids who's running around screaming, chasing after Mickey Mouse. I'm just like, scream! I'm not waiting in line. I can do whatever I want. It's great. I have a really, really good time when I go to the parks. It's last year I did like, oh god, what did it was Florida in March and Paris in June, and oh my god, 3 months apart between like those 2 holidays. It was like, oh my god, it was a bit of a much. It was a much of like a lot, but it was a good a lot. It was a lot of fun, you know, big good time. Loved it, very good. So those are like the main 2 things that I would say, like, obviously are my chief interests outside of music, D&D and Disney. I mean, maybe combine the 2, that'd be kind of fun. But obviously I'm like into like movies and stuff like that as well. I watch a lot of movies with my housemate. Really do like getting into like good amount of movies. Oh god, thinking about that, like, I'll just quickly ream off like top of my head favourite 3 movies of all time, just so you got an idea of what kind of stuff I'm into. I would probably say Goodfellas number 1, 100%. Oh god, 2 and 3. I could check my Letterboxd account, but that would be cheating. Oh, I can't remember what my 2nd and 3rd slots are. I'll ream it off the top of my head. Gladiator and the original Korean version of Old Boy as well. We'll go with those 3 because that's probably what I've got on my Letterboxd, but I don't know. But yeah, movies. Woo! Love it. Okay, so question 2, and this is quite a fun one, which I imagine quite a few people might be interested in, is what got me into progressive rock in the first place? Well, honestly, a lot of the kind of background influences are from my dad. You know, a lot of music that he introduced me to when I was growing up has sort of like peripheral elements towards like this kind of hard rock and stuff like that. So, you know, I had things like Deep Purple, I had a bit of Meatloaf, we had Krista Bird, we had Bruce Springsteen. You know, there was a lot of these sort of old school classic sort of dad rock things going on. And it was that sort of sideways movement that I made when I was at university, when I would have been about like maybe 18, 19, I think, something like that. So near enough 20 years ago now, Jesus. I remember browsing a forum. I don't remember what website it was from. It was a forum on somewhere on the internet, and it was like, you know, one of those "what are you listening to" threads, and somebody said like Dream Theater, A Change of Seasons, and I commented something. I don't remember what I said, but this person said, hey, you should try listening to this thing that I've just posted about. So I did. Back in the day, we didn't have easy access to streaming and stuff like that, so I took it on a punt, went into the city centre, went to my local Virgin Megastores, which again ages me up, and picked up a copy of A Change of Seasons. Went home, slammed it into the CD player, and just, I was hooked. That was it, right? That was like the sudden camera crash zoom on my eyes as I suddenly was like, oh my god, where has this been all my life? You know, that was like such a game-changing moment for me. And it was like, just from there, I just went on a binge. Like, I went on a complete binge. Like, I'd always sort of been like kind of aware of the old school classics, you know, like Genesis, Rush, Jethro Tull, the usual suspects, you know. But this is what made me want to go back and actually check them out more, you know. So I did, and I went back and just, boom, everything just went from there, you know. Okay, question number 3, I think is, again, quite a fun one. It's, what would be your ideal dream prog supergroup? And they all have to still be with us. Which actually makes this a lot harder because, you know, Chris Squire can no longer be a candidate, which is annoying, because, you know, he totally would have been in there for the bass slot if I could have chosen one. But let's not worry too much about that. Let's think about the criteria here. So I'm thinking 5-piece group, you know, bass, guitar, keys, drums, vocals, you know. I mean, you could go for extra slots and stuff like that, but 5 seems a good sweet spot. So I'm thinking on vocals, Mikael Åkerfeldt, 100%. Like, just the combination of the growls and the cleans. He's a guy for all seasons. He can basically do it all, and the stuff that he does better than most will ever do in their lives. I love Mikael Åkerfeldt so much. Guitars, let's go Devin Townsend. I know he's not exactly the most technical, like, in terms of, like, pure technicality, but find me a person with, like, a better ear for what makes good guitar music, because I don't think they exist. Devi is just faultlessly brilliant when it comes to knowing what fits for the right time. I did consider Guthrie Govan, but again, as for all his technical flourishing and expertise in, you know, like accomplished playing, I just vibe Devi that little bit more for this slot, you know. Bass is a reasonably easy one for me. I would nearly went with Dominique Forest-Laprente because god of the fretless bass, quite frankly. But ultimately, I've got to go with my heart and one of my original sort of, you know, prog metal bass loves, and I'm going John Myung. I love John Myung so very, very much. He's just like the sweetest man on the planet, and just good grief, his fingers move with such just, oh, 100% love John Myung. On drums, we're going for a bit more of a contemporary outlook here. We're going to go with Bard Kolstad from Leprous. That guy on the skins is just something else. Something about his playing style just really gels properly with me, and I love everything that he does. And finally, keyboards, we're going to keep it classic. We're going to go Rick Wakeman, mostly because I listened to the Six Wives of Henry VIII recently for the first time, and my head just exploded. It was like, wow, you know. I always knew Rick Wakeman was good. I didn't realise he was that good. Like, what the hell is going on? This guy is like a genius. So 100% I'm slotting Rick Wakeman in there. Would these guys work well together as a unit? I don't know. I'd like to think they would do, but, you know, only time and speculation will tell. Okay, this next one I really liked, and I was tempted to make this like a whole video, but I'm lazy and can't be bothered, so we're going to ream this off in a couple of minutes. It's my two favourite albums from each decade, from the 1970s to the 2010s, so, you know, the 70s, 80s, 90s and 2010s, which are my overall two favourite records from that. Now, it's very difficult to like come with a precise two, you know. There's never going to be like sort of a, this is set in stone and will never ever change, because that's not how these things work, you know that. But that being said, I will put my life on the line here and put my prog credentials on the line here by choosing what I'm going to choose. And 1970s, right that there, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, 100%, and just joining at the top there, Dark Side of the Moon, sod it, we'll go Dark Side of the Moon, why not? 1973 Sweep, we'll have it as that, you know, just that's the greatest year of all time apparently, because, I mean, it kind of is. You look at the stuff that came out in 73, it's just nuts, right? 1980s, this is where my tastes start to get a little less prog, a little bit more, I suppose metal, because Master of Puppets, hell yeah, we go Master of Puppets. Without that record, I wouldn't have gone into metal. Without getting into metal, I wouldn't have got into prog metal. Without getting into prog metal, I wouldn't have gone into prog rock, and without getting into that, I wouldn't be making this channel right now. So I kind of owe a lot to Master of Puppets, you know. It's kind of from where all things flow, you know. It is the source of my river, as it were, you know. Which I love it. I love it so much. It's so cliche to call it one of the greatest albums of all time, but it just is. It's incredible. I love it. And joining the 1980s, I suppose, let's bring back some prog credentials again. We're going to go with Moving Pictures by Rush. I mean, is it the best Rush album? No, I wouldn't say so. I don't know, because, you know, Farewell to Kings, Hemispheres, 2112, you know. But Moving Pictures is without a doubt one of the most important albums of the 1980s for me. It's so incredible. It's what brought me into Rush, you know, what got me into the band. So I will always champion it for that. And it's just hands down one of the best albums of the 1980s. And it is just, mwah, love it. 1990s, here we go. We're starting to get a lot more prog metal now, because this is kind of where I started looking more into prog metal and taking it a bit more seriously. So I would first of all stick Dream Theater's Awake on there. 100%. I will pretty much always consider this to be my favourite Dream Theater album. It's not what got me into the band, obviously, that was A Change of Seasons, but I sort of springboarded from A Change of Seasons and sort of worked my way backwards almost, so I kind of went from that, and I think I checked out Images and Words after that. I don't remember, I'll be brutally honest with you, but I remember the first time I heard Awake, and I was just stunned. I was blown away by this record, and that has never left me. That initial feeling that I got from Awake has always been there, and I will always love this record. Joining it will be Opeth's Still Life, only just getting in there, of course, but I don't care, it's incredible. Still Life, oh my goodness. Again, this is one of the records that got me into growled vocals, which got me into the death metal scene. I cannot state enough how brilliant this record is. It is superb, but there is still a record that Opeth did, which I do prefer, which honestly does lead us into the 2000s, where I will, again, continuing my death metal preferences, Blackwater Park, man. Come on, Blackwater Park's up there. 2001, what a record. What a record. Just unbelievable. Just, there's not much I can really say about it, which I'm not already saving for a classics review at some point in the future. So, let's just put Blackwater Park in the box, and with it, we're going to have what I consider to be my favourite record of all time. It's Colours by Between the Buried and Me. That was never not going to be here, guys. I've already reviewed that one on my classic series, so go check that out if you haven't already, but it's perfect. There is nothing I can't say now that I haven't already said in that video. I will love this album until the end of time, and when the heat death of the universe happens, it's just perfect. It's wonderful, and just think, I'm going to go listen to it after I've done this video, because it's brilliant, and mwah. And bringing us into the 2010s, Between the Buried and Me once again have another entry into this list with Parallax 2, which in some ways is almost the equal of Colours. Almost. So it's so close. It is like this much between them. And I think the main reason why I still prefer Colours over Parallax 2 is because, honestly, nostalgia. You know, Colours got me into the band, it got me into that sort of like progressive metalcore kind of thing, and enjoying more extreme aggressive vocals and stuff like that. But Parallax 2's narrative is incredible. The leitmotifs that it has towards previous parts of the band's catalogue is also incredible. There is just so much to love on this album. It's just almost faultless. And speaking of almost faultless, the other one to join the 2010s will be Steven Wilson's Hand Cannot Erase, which, again, narratively incredible, and just every single bit of this record is just unbelievable. If you haven't heard this one yet, please, good Lord, go and check it out, because I can't say enough good things about this. And again, it's probably going to be another classic series somewhere down the line when I've got time for these sort of things, and I will go into more depth and gush even harder about it, you know. Okay, somebody wants to know what the first, best, worst, last, and next gigs that I've been to are. And I had to do a little bit of trying, like, searching my memory banks for this one, because I'm getting old, you know, and I'm forgetting things. First gig I ever went to, Dragon Force, back in, like, I want to say 2004, I think it was, when I was at university. Like, I didn't really go to a lot of gigs when I was a teenager, because I kind of lived out in the boonies, as it were, and didn't really get the chance to go to see, like, many bands at all. So I kind of waited until I was, like, at university and more independently living before I started going to see bands, and I had the opportunity to see Dragon Force. This is kind of like before they got really, really big. I mean, I think they just released Sonic Firestorm. Like, this is before Through the Fire and the Flames came out. I remember that much. It was a great gig. It was really, really fun. The guys were absolutely, like, drunk as hell and could barely play their instruments, but it was really fun, you know. Everybody was having a great time. It was loud as hell, and I wasn't prepared for that, because now I wear ear protection whenever I go to gigs. But, no, great fun little first gig. The worst gig. Now, this one, I don't know. I don't think I've objectively been to any bad gigs, really. I'll be honest with you. There's been parts of some gigs which have been disappointing, but nothing objectively bad. I remember seeing, I think it was Periphery, Tesseract, and Devin Townsend. I think it was Tesseract opened. They were like the first band on. And the Smoke Machine was basically like a little bit enthusiastic, let's put it that way. And so whilst I tell people that I've seen Tesseract live, I didn't see Tesseract live. I heard them, yes, and allegedly there was a band on the stage, but the Smoke Machine had other ideas, let's put it that way. There's also the time I went to see Ghost. Oh god, there was this guy who stood in front of us, and he must have been like 8 foot tall or something ridiculous, and he had like the entire like area of places to stand. There was like air space over there was space over there, but Captain, like, 8 foot tall man, he's just like, now I'm going to stand right in front of you and I'm just not going to move. And, like, by the time he basically planted himself, there was nowhere else for me to really be able to move to. And I certainly wasn't going to give up my spot that was right near the front anyway. So I kind of had to sort of, like, bank to the left, bank to the right, trying to look past this guy for, like, the entire gig. Anyway, it was annoying, but it wasn't a bad gig. It was still good. Best gig. Easy. Neil Morse Band. 100%. good lord, that was so incredible. It was the entire of Similitude of a Dream played live, as well as some like extras I think at the end. I can't really remember, but I was expecting it to be good. I was not expecting it to be exceptional. Such a good gig, like absolutely unreal. Last gig that I went to was Devin Townsend, again trying to remember who supported him. It was somebody and Clone. I remember Clone was one of the bands. I don't remember who the first band was, but they were really good. I remember that. And always a pleasure to see Devi. He's never not entertaining. He's always a wonderful sight to see live, and I had a great time there, and I'll definitely go back and see him again, because I always do. And the next gig I plan on going to, I don't know yet. I've no idea. I've not been keeping up to date with the schedule. I've missed a few ones recently due to prior commitments. Unfortunately, I was due to go and see the Deer Hunter, but life got in the way, let's put it that way. But yeah, there we go. Next question is, do I play any instruments? Well, I play an instrument. It's just I have several of them. So if you just bear with me a second. We've got bass numero uno, my little violin bass. It's not one of the expensive ones, it's one of the El Cheapo ones, but that's fine. We've got bass numero dos, my Yamaha 5-string. Little workhorse, does what she needs to do. We've got my workhorse bass, the one that I tend to use the most, which is my Washburn T24 Taurus, which I have sullied the back of with many, 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 many ducks. Because when you're playing the bass, you want to be able to look at the thing that you love the most. So I put Donald Duck on the back because I love him the most. And last but by no means least at all is my custom-made funky-looking bass. Look at this bad boy. It's the neatest looking thing. I saw this in the shop and like years ago, and I was just like, that's cool as hell. I have to have it. It's made by local luthier. Kind of like a, I'm not going to see this design anywhere else, but it sounds beastly. It's really, really cool. And I love playing it. It's great. So yeah, I play bass. Am I good at it? I'm competent, I suppose. Would I ever play for anybody if they asked me to? No, because I don't have that much confidence in my own abilities. I'm happy just playing it for myself as a way to de-stress and just unwind at the end of a day, you know. I'm not looking to do anything with it other than just have a bit of fun with it, but I love my 4 babies. I would die for them, obviously, you know, just like any musician would. Okay, my top 5 favourite bands and my top 5 favourite solo artists. Again, much like with the albums from decades and stuff like that, this is very much something which is subject to change, so don't take this to heart, you know. I'm not going to do these in any particular order because, again, it's a subject for another video to do in full, you know. So, bands, I want to say Deer Hunter, Between the Buried and Me, Opeth, Genesis and Rush. We'll go with that. Nice mix of new and old school there. Every single one of those bands is almost faultless. At least certain parts of their discography are. Certain parts are less good, but we can forgive them. We can forgive that for how good the good parts are, you know? And solo artists, I would say... Elton John, obviously, you know, Doi. As far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest singer-songwriters of all time. Like, joining him, we'll have Stephen Wilson. Hell yeah, Stephen Wilson. Neil Morse. Can't go wrong with a bit of Morse. Devin Townsend, who I've mentioned many times before already. And David Bowie. We'll go with that, you know. Good, solid, rounding up with 5 again. Nice mix of the classics, nice mix of the new. Yeah, top 5 from each. I'll get more into it at another point, you know. But for the purposes of this video, I'm trying to wrap things up a little bit here before I meander for too long. What would be my dream gig? Ooh boy, now that is a question. Honestly, I suppose any combination of the previously mentioned favourite bands, like playing all together and headlining shows, like, you know, a full set, like a full hour-long set would be pretty amazing. In terms of, like, realistically, I just want to go on Cruise to the Edge, man. I just want to go Cruise to the Edge. That's my dream. Just bling out, pay for the biggest, most expensive package in the fanciest room, and just go Cruise to the Edge. That's the dream. It's a little bit rich for my blood, admittedly, because I've got to fly to freaking Miami or whatever it is first. So I'm like, oh my god. But one day, maybe one day, you know? My favourite, the creeper question. Where are you from and what's your hometown like? Well, as you can tell, I'm from England, you know, the land of tea and crumpets and terrible cooking and awful teeth. You know, all that usual nonsense that everybody stereotypes us for. But, you're not going to go stalking around outside my house, are you? It's fine, it's fine. I live in the northwest of England, in a city called Preston. Very exciting place, he said with lies. Now, it's fine. Preston is very much just a place that mostly exists to get you to other places, though. It's there. It exists, it's a thing. I can get to Manchester in like 40 minutes on the train, so it's fine, you know, it's good for that, if it's not good for anything else. But I've lived kind of all over. I was born in the UK, moved to Belgium when I was 7, lived there for a few years, moved to Ireland, lived there for 8 years, went to university in Wales, which was, you know, great. I loved university. It was wonderful. And then I sort of came full circle and came back to Preston. So born in Preston, moved around a bit, came back to Preston. So yeah, that's me. That's where I'm from. And finally, what I felt was possibly the most pertinent question to ask is, what made me want to start the channel in the first place? And honestly, love this question. Really, really love this question, because it really made me think about why I'm doing this. You know, why am I sitting myself in my room, cramped around with all my furniture everywhere, moved out the way every single time to be able to make these videos? Why do I do it? Why do I do this? I do this because I love doing this, you know? I have not very often been able to chat to people about the sort of music that I love, you know? The sort of music that really affects me emotionally in ways that other music just doesn't, you know? And it was... I've always been a wordy kind of guy, you know. I tend to gab, like, forever, as you can probably tell from the length of this damn video, you know. And it was nice just to have that outlet, to be able to put into words what I feel about music I've been listening to, you know. And that's why I wanted to do this. I wanted to have that creative outlet. I've tried a lot of creative things over the years to varying degrees of success, but I think this is the one that I really enjoy the most, you know, the one that I feel like I've actually got a chance at staying good at and improving to the point where I'm happy with what I'm doing. And every time I get somebody telling me in the comments to a video, thank you for introducing me to this, thank you for showing me about this band, I wouldn't have known about this band if it had not been for the review that I watched, that makes my heart grow like 5 times, honest to goodness. Like, every time, like, if I can reach one person, if like every review that I do reaches one person and lets that one person in on what the coolest new band they've ever heard in their life is, then what I'm doing here is worth it, you know? I mean, ultimately I do this for me. I do this because I love to talk about music. I love to talk about the bands that I care about, and I love to talk about the albums that are coming out that really have an impact on me. And if I can bring that to somebody else as well at the same time, then hell yeah, we're doing something good here, you know? And for as long as I can keep doing this, as long as I have things that I want to say about new music coming out and old music, you know, that came out ages ago, which like emotionally impacted on me, I'm going to keep doing this. And I'm so glad that I decided to do this, because I've met some incredible people doing this. I've spoken to some incredible bands since doing this, you know? Some people out there, like, they reach out to you, you know, after you've reviewed their music, and they speak to you, and you realise, how cool is this, you know? I am speaking to these bands who I love. And that's fantastic. I love that so much. Getting that connection, getting that sort of real feeling of acceptance and belonging and understanding that we're all people, we're all human, we all love music, you know? And I don't know, I'm getting all emotional here. I've met some of the coolest people in my life doing this, and I'm just not going to stop, you know? I'm in this for the long haul. I'm going to keep going, and I look forward to doing a 200th video, a 300th, 400th, etc., etc., you name it. I'm just going to need more hard drives for all that, because these things take up a bit of space. So, yeah, there we go. That was my 10 favourite questions that I've been asked for my, you know, 100th video spectacular, as it were. I just hope you've enjoyed this. If you have enjoyed my little spiel as well, and you are new to the channel, please do maybe take a peek through the back catalogue, have a look and see what you think. I really hope you find some stuff there to enjoy, you know? And until next time, guys, until video 101, keep your rhyme signatures extremely, extremely odd.